Now, Pentagon leaders defended the highest ever military budget, citing China and other eventualities that call for preparedness. Now, the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, and Defense Secretary Lloyd made their case for higher military expenditure during their testimony before the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense. They defended the Pentagon's record $842 billion budget request by pointing to hotspots of conflicts and tension.
In order to protect the American people, readiness now and readiness in the future through modernization is our #1 priority, and there is no other #1.
Now, Austin asserted that the U.S. is at its highest state of readiness, with capabilities to be deployed within days if needed.
This budget sustains our current readiness and adapts the joint force to the future warfighting requirements. This is a matter of significant national security importance, and we must act with clear-eyed urgency. By doing so, no adversary should ever underestimate the resolve of our nation and the strength of our military. Preparation for war and deterring war is extraordinarily expensive, but it's not as expensive as fighting a war. And this budget prevents war and prepares us to fight it if necessary.
The testimony comes soon after Chinese leader Xi Jinping's visit to Moscow for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Biden administration has labeled Beijing as a pacing challenge that holds the potential to reshape the international world order. Now, the U.S. is reinforcing its military ties with Australia and Japan and holding joint military drills with South Korea with an eye on Seoul's northern neighbor.
This is a strategy-driven budget and one driven by the seriousness of our strategic competition with the People's Republic of China.
Earlier, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, at a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing, had said that the budget contains both discretionary and mandatory proposals for new innovative investments to outcompete China.
The President's FY24 budget request for the State Department and USAID meet this moment head-on. The budget will sustain our security, economic, energy, and humanitarian support for Ukraine to ensure that President Putin's war remains a strategic failure. The budget will also strengthen our efforts to outcompete the PRC.
Blinken added that the budget will help the U.S. push back on advancing authoritarianism and democratic backsliding by strengthening democracies around the world. Now, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Listen in.
Since the beginning of the year, the Pentagon has been squarely focused on China's rise and what this means for America's position in the world. And with developments in recent weeks, notably Xi Jinping's recent visit to Russia, this concern has only escalated. So it was no surprise that Defense Secretary Lloyd said that it needed billions more to modernize its force in Asia and around the world. Although it's alarming to hear that he also said that the U.S. military must be ready for a possible confrontation with China. Talks like this have increased in recent months, not only from Austin, but many lawmakers on Capitol Hill as well. It's important to note that the U.S. continues to have the largest military budget from any country around the world, with China coming in as second. However, the margins of those numbers are very wide. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.